Welcome everybody. My name is Trent Conley. I'm the head of marketing here at PeerSpot. We're super excited to be with Sugar today and to go over this webinar on AWS Marketplace in the pipeline, automating go-to-market and activating reviews that drive growth. I'll do a quick introduction, and these guys will also introduce themselves as they start talking as well. We're here with Andrew Lamb, he's the Chief Revenue Officer at PeerSpot, Kyle Heisner of Sugar, who's the Cloud Marketplace Go-to-Market and Alliances Leader, and Gershon Rossman, who's the VP of Revenue. One quick thing before we start, we do have questions and answers. If you just want to put it in the chat, feel free to whenever. We'll either immediately answer on the webinar or at the end. We'll also have some time as well, so please feel free to leave any questions that might come up. And we'll also get you the webinar recording later today as well after this webinar is over.
Excellent.
Kick it off with Kyle.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. See several people in the audience that I know, and thank you for joining. But wanted to really kick this off with our cloud marketplace maturity model, and I think it really plays into effect from what we see with all of our customers and everything, where how they scale. And why it really brought to some importance of why I wanted to have do this webinar with PeerSpot, because I think it can help really move people up that maturity model really well. So just getting your listing done, co-selling, but another big piece of that is competencies and your review ranking on AWS. Without those things, you're down the list on SEO search. You're down the list on whenever an AWS rep looks for a partner to use. That algorithm is what kind of drives it. And I really think the customers that really use the tool like PeerSpot to accelerate those things really can see an impact to the maturity of their go-to-market strategy around marketplace. So if you guys, that's the reason we're here today. Really looking forward to hearing from Andrew and Gershon about the experiences that they have with their customers and how they really help their customers with that. So thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome, Kyle. Yeah, we met a few months ago, and we launched with AWS, in this latest iteration about 4.5 months ago. And I think since that time, we've met a few times, we've had multiple calls, and I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose, everything happening within the ecosphere of the AWS Marketplace. You've been a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for that. I want to acknowledge that. I also want to acknowledge what I've seen from your side, but also from some of our joint customers, and the value of getting launched in the marketplace, but then actually getting your first co-sell and driving more revenue, more sales through the marketplace. I've really heard great things for how Sugar helps expedite that, and just not only expedite, but just make it run smoother. So I love, this is great. I'm super excited to be with you today. So let's first take a step back, because not everybody still appreciates and understands the power of reviews and just peer-to-peer interactions going on in the buying cycle. That's not slowing down. It's only growing, actually, as the population of researchers, decision makers, economic buyers grows older and gets older, and the next generation kind of wave comes in, and this is kind of the use of buying. I think we've all heard some of the stats out there. 6th Sense says 80% of the research is done outside of sales and marketing. Here's a couple, one from Foundry, one from Gartner. IT decision makers, they rely on different pieces of content, product testing, reviews, and opinions. That's wanting to hear it from somebody just like your friend, just like you. That's 49% from Foundry. Gartner has many different stats that they'll put out, but interestingly enough, being an analyst firm, they still do put out that customer reviews and ratings are very much at the top of the type of content that software purchase decision makers are looking at as they're researching. We see that as well. I will tell you, has anybody heard of the whole thing of AEO, answer engine, and LLMs and traffic across the internet dropping by 30% because we all just can ask ChatGPT, Proximity, or Gemini, Google? Well, guess what? What is the content that's feeding those answers? That's not a trick question. It's just the right one. It's the reviews, it's peer feedback. And power to that being, since we've launched 4.5 months ago, AWS Marketplace listings now are showing up. The reviews that we're pushing over there, and I'll show you, walk through that, are now showing up in the LLM answers. It's pretty wild to see how powerful reviews are. And I like to say, like, oh, it's not just us saying it, it's actually the buyers craving it, and the LLMs are feeding it right back to them.
That is wild, Andrew. We see, the other thing that we saw with the reviews is the decrease in the number of customer references people asked for, because they could go get it themselves, and they didn't have, because we know how customer references go. Everybody gives the friendly ones, right? So, I think the review process really opens that up to, it's not just a hand-given review type of thing. So
it's the back channel. It's the phone a friend. Yeah.
absolutely.
This is a little bit of just the scale on the PeerSpot side. So over 86,000 reviews, 80,000 product comparisons, side-by-side product comparisons, and it's almost hitting 900,000. So this number is now a little low, but it's almost 900,000 folks that are in our community that have written and talking about different products. And all of our reviews 100% validated, going and making sure they are the person who they are, not fake, not AI. A little bit more, just real quick, understand. So a review coming from PeerSpot is going to be different than what we've seen from other providers out in the marketplace. So we actually do something that's a little bit different. Since the beginning, 13 years ago, PeerSpot has always interviewed the buyer to capture the review. What that means is it didn't start out as a form fill. That allowed us to capture a lot more in-depth content, longer review, 10 times longer, to use strategic themes and custom questions. So it's not 3 questions, 4 questions. It's walking through a 5 to 7 minute conversation, either with a human or with an AI agent. And then the people that are on the site looking at reviews, this is sometimes a question that comes up. Well, are they really, in market? Are they really looking? Is it the right person? And just some of the recent stats that we have from some of the folks that have downloaded reports for leads on our site, 68% have budget now. That's 2/3 have budget now. 30% are ready to buy in the next 90 days, which is great, seeing as how long sales cycles are becoming lately. So why did the AWS Marketplace, why do these reviews matter on the marketplace? We can do sales through the marketplace. People don't need to click and buy. We're working with the AWS sales team. Well, everything the marketplace team is doing is trying to expedite and grow sales and revenues quicker and faster. You'll see a lot of things changing on the procurement and the legal side to shorten those timeframes. They're also trying to change that on the buyer behavior. So some on the discovery, but a lot of like the verification process. So if you'll see right here, there's a few different bullets. So first one is Marketplace is looking to enhance customer discovery and evaluation. Second bullet, these reviews help the potential buyers with reliable firsthand insights. They're not, and this is the trick to think about, they're not just living on your listings today. It's really interesting to see. So right now, as a member of the AWS Partner Network, PeerSpot's the sole provider of first-party reviews, buyer guides, and we also supply third-party reviews. Gershon will go in and show you a little bit of the difference in that. Now, these first-party reviews, where they're living on your listing, they actually also live and breathe in other places. So they also drive the star rating, the rankings, buyer guides, the AI sentiment and product comparisons, and get ready. There's you heard, let's see, at the sellers conference a few months ago, Matt Wise said, hey, you know what? There's going to be this AI recommendation thing that's going to be launching by the end of the year. I have it as good authority. I don't think anybody has seen anything out there, but I think there could be a pretty big launch happening at reInvent that we all will get to see if Matt Y has his way. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Gershon. He can walk through a little bit of this. And then I know Kyle has some ideas, just seeing as some of the conversations that he's had and seen out in the marketplace of how this plays into someone being able to ramp and scale.
Hey everyone. So just a little bit on how this all looks in the wild. If you look here, you can see a page of SentinelOne. So we're going to use that as an example. So firstly, we get a lot of questions about what Andrew mentioned. There's two types of reviews that you'll see on the marketplace, right? There's the third-party reviews and the first-party reviews. So what's the difference between the two of those? You could see here, there's a review that says review provided by PeerSpot.com. It still has all that great content and has the star rating, all that stuff on the side, but that actually doesn't go into that star rating you're seeing on the left, right? Anything that says PeerSpot or anything else, it's not going to go into that ranking, star rating, and the number of reviews. What's going in there is actually what you see on the left side, where you see those two arrows where it says AWS reviews. And those are actually now also being collected by PeerSpot. So that's the really cool thing about this partnership. It's not that it's not only that you're getting all that great content like Andrew showed, which is happening, that it's going to be helping you with competencies, which we'll get to later, that it's going to be going into all those engines, but actually it's going to help you have that higher star rating, which was really, really difficult for folks earlier, and you'll see that in a second. It's going to help you get that up your review rankings and make the page actually look much more exciting to people who are coming to read it. A really cool thing that you'll see on the next slide is just a good example. So when I talk about, how it was very difficult, here's an example from SentinelOne, right? They're a huge cyber company, very successful, great brand awareness. Before the partnership, they actually didn't have a star rating or any AWS reviews. You can see, like I mentioned, they had those third-party or external reviews. There were a lot of them, but anyone who's coming there browsing through, they would just see 0, which is a shame because there were a lot of companies that were in that position that were really great companies. They had great customer feedback, but they just didn't know how to get those first-party reviews. So there are two ways that can happen, right? Number one, which you'll see in a second, is if anyone leaves a review on the marketplace, that obviously automatically will go into the first-party review, and I'll show you that in a minute. And the second part is actually when we're working together with customers or when somebody comes into PeerSpot, we will also verify if a customer has a relationship with the marketplace or is deployed on the marketplace. And those reviews will automatically, or as Andrew likes to say often, automatically go onto the AWS Marketplace. And they will actually say, when somebody looks at it, it won't say PeerSpot review, it will say AWS verified review. So it's a really amazing way that people have the ability to impact those star ratings, to impact their ranking on the marketplace, that while it was possible previously, it was just very difficult and people weren't doing a good job of it. And we're starting to see that it's happening, and it's amazing for many of our customers and other people as well. Again, we're proactively working on the whole marketplace to make sure that we're able to improve those star ratings and rankings on all those pages. So in the next page, this is the piece which I think is very, very, very cool. So right now, and this is how we've been collecting reviews for 13 years, like Andrew said. If anybody goes and clicks leave a review on the marketplace, and by the way, I highly, highly recommend you all trying this, but for products that you use, because we'll flag it and it won't get listed otherwise. You'll see there are 3 options to leave a review, and I'm going to actually go from the bottom up. So you can write a review, in all honesty, for obvious reasons. Most people don't do that anymore because, it's just, you have to type it up. It's a lot of work. It's less comfortable. There's the second piece, which is speak to an analyst. That's something which Andrew mentioned we've been doing for about 12, 13 years. We have analysts that are really, really expert, not only at doing interviews, but asking the right questions to make sure we get a great piece of content that will help influence people who are coming to look at it, that will really be, that AWS now is able to take and drive all of those different content engines and pages that Andrew spoke about. Then the top part is something with which we've recently launched, and this is super exciting. So I know there are a lot of different types of agents and bots that you may be familiar with that can speak to people. This is something that is totally different. We actually built our own agent that is trained on two things. It's trained on all of our reviews. So we have tons and tons of great content, great customer content that we've been collecting for the past 12, 13 years. And it's trained on all of that. So it's really, more of an expert probably than any human analyst. And the second part of that is that we actually implemented the same methodology that our interviewers were using, and we trained it on that as well. And what we've been seeing is, A, it's just a really cool experience. But B, the reviews are actually as good and if not better than we've been getting with human analysts, which is a very, very cool thing to see. Again, it's a very, very cool experience. And it's great because, you can just click and do it right there. Whereas what you used to have to do is schedule it. So all of those things make it a really, really quick, painless, and actually enjoyable experience. And what you end up getting are those types of reviews, which you saw previously. So here's just an example of that. So we kind of went backwards, so I don't have to say my little joke that I always say, but normally when I'm showing people these reviews, if you look on the left side, you can see it's actually super extensive. This is, by the way, again, why this can help you, and we'll get into that in a second with the competencies and with all that content. It really is a piece of content. It's almost like it's a case study. And the other piece of that is that, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second, but I'm gonna pick it up. So yeah, we could go to the next slide. Sorry about that. So this is the
big exciting part, yes.
yes, the big exciting part. So we've been hearing a lot about competencies. And when we started bringing it up, we actually we're telling customers that they can take our reviews and turn them into case studies, right? We have for many, many years, because of the way we're collecting them and the content that you have there, people were using them as case studies. So we implemented on our site where you can click on it and download a case study. And that was really exciting because AWS was like, oh, that's great. We can use this for competencies. And it was super exciting for our customers. But now we don't even necessarily need to do that because they're all pre-validated by us. All of the reviews that are going onto the marketplace are actually already validated as AWS customers. They know that it's real. There's no funny business going on there. That combined with the content has actually allowed them to allow their sellers to use that for the competency programs. So that's super exciting that you no longer have to go and get those case studies and have people deal with legal departments and all of the hoops that people have to jump into in order to get those very specific case studies to use for your competencies. You can actually take that link that we mentioned. You can start getting your customers to talk to us, talk to the agent, have those reviews coming in that are going to do all of those exciting things that we were showing you earlier. But then the cherry on top is that will actually help you with your competencies. So that's something that's super exciting. And I'm sure Andrew probably has a little more to add to that because it's his baby.
Well, this is something that Kyle and I were talking about, is helping as people scale. Like maybe when you're first getting listed, look, you don't want to have 0 reviews. You just want to have 3. You want to have 5. You don't want to be empty, right? And so, okay, well, that's great. Let's work with you to get you 3 or 5 reviews. That's no problem. Then there's the next level up. Maybe it's the 201 where it's like, okay, now you're starting to lean in. You've worked with the Sugar team. You're starting to understand more about how things operate in the marketplace. I will not be an expert and even try to go down that path, but I do know that competencies play into that. And one of the big hard parts, 80% is all that you're doing on the technical side. And then you get everything done. And then you have to wait 4 months, 3 months, sometimes 6 months to get the right customer and get the right story on the record. And that's where that time frame, I know it's only 20%, but the time frame at the end there, that 3 to 6 months can go away in a day or 2 with being able to utilize the AWS reviews provided by PeerSpot.
Yeah, Andrew, I think that's really important because with each one of these competencies, AWS gives MDF funds too. So the longer it takes you to get that competency completed, the less time you have to spend that money, during that year, that 1 year period, right? And keeping those competencies every year, you have to, with each one of these competencies, there's a certain number of case studies that have to be done. What I love about your platform is the ability to build those case studies really easy from the reviews to be able to submit to get these competencies. You don't have to, sometimes it's really hard to get a case study built and submitted to finish out the competency. With PeerSpot, that goes away. You just literally turn those reviews into a case study instantly, and you've met your requirement for the competency.
Yeah, and we work with a lot of security companies who, the first thing they ask and kind of bring up is, well, wait a minute, it's really tough for my customers to like kind of say what they're doing, to go on the record. How do you do that? And part of it is we're a third party. We're not you asking them and having to go through legal. It's a third party. They're giving their experience. We also allow people to go incognito, if you will. And then we allow them to give their name and company where they're from. And then we allow them to give just, the type of company and their job role, right? And so, in fact, it's funny, 70% of all of our reviews, and this is usually a shock when we're early stage talking to someone, 70% of our customers are able to get, we have reviews that are named. And it is a very big surprise. And so that's something that comes up, especially with competencies, because usually you have to provide one or two kind of private customer stories and then 1, 2, or 3 public ones. And so it's like we take care of all of that.
Yeah, that's huge. Big time saver.
Let's see. There we go. And interesting. So speaking of getting your customers on the record and potential competencies, if anybody has any that are outstanding and they know that their customer is going to be at reInvent, so we will be at reInvent this year. We'll be in the Marketplace Pavilion, and we actually are part of their Passport Prize program. So we'll be giving out and managing the gift card. So if you want, if you are in your booth, if you're talking to a customer, if you have a customer event and that they're going to be walking through where all the vendors are, be sure to send them back to see us in the Marketplace Pavilion. I'll show you a little map here just to give an idea. There are a lot of booths, but just to give you an idea, behind the AWS Village in the Partner Experience Pavilion that the Marketplace is putting on will be PeerSpot representatives, and I think one of which will be Trent. You may see Gershon and I walking around as well, capturing these live for folks. And so it's a nice little thing to know, oh, if you see a customer, send them over. I think last year, just to give an idea, the scale, last year, this booth, this pavilion saw almost 10,000 people come through and talk to different folks. This is why they're coming in to learn what's going on in the marketplace, both on the seller and on the buyer side. So we're cautiously excited for that traffic to be potentially some of them leaving reviews for all of you.
Yeah. So Andrew, for everybody else, the line's going to be long because we're going to send all of our Sugar customers over. So
yes.
Yeah. So everybody plan on standing in line, but no, I'm just kidding. But by the way, first time ever, Sugar is going to be at reInvent 2 with a booth this year. So I don't know exactly where on that chart.
Yeah, we're left, right?
Who knows where, but we will be there with a booth this year. So make sure you come by. We'll have some special prizes and things. We also are throwing an event on Monday night that is going to be really cool, outside of the venue, but we'll look for invites to that coming up soon. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think thinking about like how we work together and how we scale, there's the DIY, which is the, hey, ask your customers, if you have no reviews, ask a few of your customers to just go click the button in the marketplace and leave a review and give you a review. That's a real simple thing. Another DIY is if you're at reInvent, you see a customer at reInvent, send them over. That's an easy thing. And then there's ways that we can help. As Gershon said, we are working on capturing reviews for every product in the marketplace. As you can imagine, that is a lot. So you may see reviews come in over time, and don't be surprised at that. But if you want to get 10, if you want to get 15, if you want to get a good, quick, fast number, or if you want to focus on 1 to 2 competencies, that's where then we can come in and run a subscription service. If you've ever worked with a review site, very similar. We do a 12-month program that we work with you with strategic custom questions as well. So there's some fun things that we can do to help really grow those reviews over time. And I think if I'm thinking about scaling, then there's the third level of like, oh, now I want to drive demand. And so one thing, and I think Sugar, you're the same way, we're all approved for funds to be used from AWS. So we are MDF eligible or approved. And so AWS will fund up to 50% of your programs with PeerSpot, whether it's reviews or whether it's you want lead generation or retargeting or other demand programs. And that, I was thinking, is maybe the 301 level when you start really wanting to drive demand for co-selling or for just your marketplace listing.
And Andrew, actually, the what you mentioned about the competencies piece, right? How you can get specific competencies. What's really cool, those strategic questions that Andrew mentioned. So when you're talking about competencies, right, generally from speaking to a lot of sellers, there are 2 ways that 2 criteria. One of them is actually who you're interviewing, right? You have specific people from specific industries, but then there are also some feature-based ones like AI and things like that. And we can actually make a custom questionnaire focused on specific topics, whether it's because those are the type of folks that go to your page on the marketplace versus people who go to your own website, or because you're focusing on specific competencies. And the really cool thing is we used to only do that with our analysts, right? Because it's pretty easy to give a different questionnaire to a human and have them have that conversation. Well, actually, this week, we implemented that same functionality in the agent as well. So it can actually also ask very specific questions and get content based on whether it be, features or so on and so forth. So that's really cool for the competencies. And then also, if those are your unique selling points, they'll also be featured, like everything else when the marketplace is using their engine to start putting that around their website as well, and in the other initiatives that they're doing.
That's awesome. One of the things, and I hate to put you on the spot, you may not be prepared to show this, but one of the things that I thought of about the maturity model that we talk about, we have a lot of customers that are kind of like Sugar that don't have a lot of marketing team, a big marketing team. And creating those case studies, creating those, the buyer guides, things like that. I was blown away the other day when Kelly from your team gave me a demo of all of that and how it all is driven from the data that you get from the reviews. It just blew me away. And I think that a lot of the companies at the lower end of the maturity model could really utilize a tool like this to grow a lot quicker, because they may not have a marketing team. How do I create a buyer's guide? How do I create a case study? Your platform just does it for them. A sales guy could use it and do it, so it's pretty amazing.
Well, yeah. And thank you for bringing that up. It is true. So with a program, we're capturing reviews, but reviews are the basis. They're the baseline. And then what do you do with those reviews? Social cards with quotes, you'll see a lot of companies will use. You mentioned reports and guides. Those are really important to be able to kind of slice and dice by industry, by company size, by vertical. Those are really popular. The other big one recently with SEO and LLMs is folks are using our review widget. I know if we ever came up with a better name, or if anyone thinks of a better name, but review widget, where it basically takes quotes from your reviews and you can put them on your website. And it links back so that it shows authority back to PeerSpot. You actually gain PeerSpot's authority on those pages. And we're seeing we're seeing people, especially in the competitive play, this company versus this company, this product versus this product, that they have a whole long page that they've had for 2 years. They implement the widget, and now that page actually starts showing up in LLM answers because it's referencing that widget and bringing traffic back. So that's been a really popular thing recently.
Yeah, Kelly told me the other day that you guys had one customer that saw like a 30% increase because of the widget that they implemented on their webpage. So
Yeah, and I know this is putting Gershon on the spot, but Gershon, would you share your screen and show the AI asset generator that we have in the back end for customers? See, he's muting.
I
He's like,
spoke while on
no.
mute. I always joke that I always joke that I do that once on a call because someone has to do it. So I like to take the
You're
bullet.
the fall guy.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a little something internally and soon externally called the peer marketer. So, a lot of folks here, I imagine, are also in the advocacy space as well, or work with advocacy folk. The two main challenges that we found that they had are, number one, getting customer feedback. I'm sure you've all experienced that. It's difficult to build that engine. And then the second part, equally important, is how you're going to use it, right? You got all of that. You finally got your customers to speak to you. It's the best content that you could possibly have. And it was difficult to use. So we were on a mission, specifically in the past few months, to make it super easy. So what we created is this. So I just, as Andrew was speaking, or more once Kyle mentioned it, because I had a feeling this was coming, just did a quick search, because internet likes to sometimes go out when you're on a webinar. So I have it pre-populated, but I'll show you what you're looking at. So I just went to a product page, the dashboard page. This is what a vendor can get to inside the PeerSpot engine behind the curtain. And what you could do here actually is filter this however you want. Like, you can choose reviews from a specific date, from a campaign if you had one, different countries, so on and so forth. And then you can put in either one of our drop downs, people, metrics, competitive, whatever it might be, all positive, or the special features is actually a text input. So you could search for whatever you want. For example, if you're running a campaign about something, or you want a competency about something, you could just search for AI. The really cool part, which we've just added, and this actually just went live on the customer side a few days ago, is, let's say I just wanted to create one of those social cards that, Andrew and Kyle mentioned. People love that. You want to put on social media, customer feedback. You want it to run as an ad for one of your campaigns. Just, this is what our customers are saying. Or even if your sales team wants to send a quick snippet for prospecting, or just as a follow-up, you just click here, generate asset. Then you'll click whatever style you want. I'm not going to do this on the call, but you can pre-map, your colors and add any logo. You set it up once, and then you literally just click here on generate asset, and I'll show you what it creates for you. So you go then to your asset library, and you can see all of these quote cards. Again, going to steal Andrew's terminology, automatically get created in a matter of minutes. So that's one of the functionalities that we have. In the next week or so, you're going to be able to do the same thing, but instead of picking one quote, you pick 3 or 4, and then you can create those widgets. So it allows our customers to really help supercharge their SEO, AEO, GEO, whatever mixture of letters they're going to come up with next, to make sure that they're really using it on as many pages as they want. Landing pages. Landing pages is specifically a challenge because it's something you spin up a lot of them, and it's hard to get your teams to create unique widgets and unique things for all of those. This way, it's going to allow people to really do it at scale with the click of a button. So we have those, and also you can create assets the same way, like Kyle had mentioned, real reports, taking review content as well. So all of those things together are what we, like I said, are calling our peer marketer.
So that amazes me, and I think I'm gonna throw Chloe in here real quick, and she's like, "What? I wasn't supposed to be asked a question." But Chloe, you've worked at Sugar for what, seven months now, and you've done an unbelievable job with our marketing and not having a ton of resources. having something like that to create those widgets that fast, how valuable would that be to you in your job?
Yeah, thank you. I can't believe I'm speaking. I'm excited. Um, I think that that is definitely super helpful. I think one of the biggest points for me is having not only like good content, but content that reflects like our brand identity on like a visual sense. So not having all of that time to go through Figma and then do it myself with how messy our Figma workspace is right now. I think it's definitely going to be a big help with like the time suck that, just creating visual assets are.
Yeah, I know you get thrown a lot of requests from the team going, hey, can I get a comment? Can I get a quote from somebody, and you have to make it look pretty and everything, and you do a job, but I just can't imagine having a tool like this and just being able to go boom, 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 and it's done.
Yeah, it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
I've recently heard, tying it to AWS, I've recently heard, in thinking through what are our customers saying about our experience with AWS, so tying it together, people are really excited about that. And actually it plays well into, I can imagine in about 4 months, maybe 5 months, we're past reInvent, and then people are really excited about the next reInvent. You know how that happens, like really quick, you come away, you're all super excited. So that'll be in a month and a half, and then another month after that. So a few months, leaders will start saying, hey, how do I get up on stage at reInvent? And I heard here the best way is, well, you've got to get, who are the customers that are going to be talking about what you do with AWS and maybe how that's unique. I'm imagining people being able to use the reviews and the quote selector to be able to pick and choose and find potentially some of the customers that you can go to AWS with and say, this is who I'd like to talk with or be on stage with next year at reInvent.
Yeah, and then the whole year just, this year went by so fast. It's like, I think 13, summits that I attended this year. I mean, it just was amazing how many events we did. But yeah, it's always fun. But should we open it up to a few questions? We've got a really good audience. I see Judy out there and Mike and Paul. Any questions you guys have on how you would implement this? How anything out there? And if you don't, it's okay. We have a few questions that some people that couldn't attend that sent us. So
Yeah.
answer those. They asked us to send them the recording, so we'll go ahead and answer those questions. So
Yeah, we'll do that while any other ones trickle in. I had two questions for mainly the PeerSpot team, I guess. First one was a question of, we only sell private offer via the marketplace. Other than competencies, how does this all help us, considering people don't actually research products on the AWS Marketplace?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's two different pieces. One's private offer, and the other one is two things to address. The other one is people actually don't do any research on the marketplace. Don't tell the marketplace team that, because Matt Y has been working with them over the last year or so to change that. And one of the big changes has obviously been the reviews and beefing up the content. Now the fact that they're showing up, those listings are showing up in LLM answers ahead of and with review sites and ahead of branded sites, I think that could be a big stepping stone there. So be on the lookout there. So just getting yourself in LLM answers is a great reason to think about reviews within the marketplace. And that's a big thing that a lot of leaders, boards, and C-levels have been asking their teams and their companies to think about. How do we get into the LLM answers? And then the other piece with private offers, yeah, you think the deal's done, they still need a reference. They still want to talk to somebody else. They're still back channeling. So you may think like, oh, they're not looking at no, that's what they're doing. They're going back and back channeling to the reviews on the listing. And so as Kyle said, it actually may circumvent the need for a phone call or a real face-to-face reference.
yeah, it's like you said right at the beginning of the call, a big percentage of the buying decisions made before they even talk to a sales team. You know, we see it all the time. It's just like, hey, just give me a price. I've already done my research, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think on the private offer side, the other big piece is if you've implement, even if it's private offer, 100% of the time, have you implemented buy with AWS and put your listing on your own website? You probably get more traction than AWS would to AWS's marketplace. But if you have your normal purchase flow listed in your website, and then you also add the flow of how they could buy directly from your website using buy with AWS, that's there, and you could have the widgets all below it. I just think there's always a way to drive more revenue, even if you're just doing private offers. Yeah, everybody was like, oh, it's a private offer, it's a transaction method for me. Well, that's changing with the you know Matt's initiative to let more people have more access to where they want to buy from, and using buy with AWS is just huge. You're going to see a refresh of our website, and you're going to see all of our customers with buy with AWS pay on a page, for every one of our customers, people could buy directly from there via marketplace. So
I think one more tiny thing that I think is kind of overlooked, but super important. One of the most important things in marketing is having like a real good, consistent message that can influence prospects. And here, what's really cool, what happens automatically is you get that same great customer feedback, but it's showing up in many different places. So if somebody's doing a search, whether it's on LLMs, whether it's on the website, they're going to see your customers talking about all the great things that they're doing with your product. They're going to see it on the marketplace, right? Because that's going to come in through the LLMs. They're going to see it on PeerSpot. And then, for people using widgets, social cards, all that, they're going to see it on your properties as well. So they're getting hit no matter where they're looking from that same great, consistent, authentic customer voice. So it's just a whole nother world than where it used to be. Oh, it's on, we're on a review site. They come to the review site, they look at it. No, now it's surrounding them, and that's a really cool thing to see.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have been playing with the new Chat GPT, browser or not. It's pretty cool how smart it's got. I go in and I type, how do I create a private offer? And it literally comes up, you can use Sugar. I was like, they actually know who Sugar is. So,
You're like, thank you.
Wow, they read your reviews.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I actually just pulled it up and said, how many reviews do I have?
I just wanted to piggyback also and kind of plug our next. We're actually have another webinar on November 12th with one of the leaders in like seeing behind the curtains of LLMs, which is called White Box. And they're going to go over kind of the behind the scenes of what ChatGPT and other AI LLMs look at and how they're weighted. And just a preview of what we're going to talk about is like the AWS Marketplace is a huge influence on AI like ChatGPT. And the reviews that are getting pulled through with a strong marketplace profile are PeerSpot reviews. So when you're getting reviews, you're getting double dosed. You're getting PeerSpot and AWS, which are both coming from PeerSpot. And when they're weighted together, it really outweighs like everything more than any other review site, really any other site. So that's also another huge point we'll hit in a couple weeks, and also just another big reason why you need to have your AWS profile really strong.
Yeah, so I literally just did that on Chat GPTs, and it goes, you have zero first party reviews. I've got to get that fixed. I'm going to use PeerSpot.
We better fix that. Yes, we will take care of that.
It goes 68 in external reviews, but zero first party. Yeah.
All right. We actually had a couple questions come in. The first one from Judy, thank you, is incentives a big part of getting reviews?
Well, there's yes, but there's multiple forms of incentive. So humans are incentivized to help other humans. So going back, most of the review sites, we've been really good about positioning how we're not paying for this review, we're not paying for the interview. You're actually helping other buyers make good decisions. So that's a really powerful mental piece that plays into it. The other piece is people then like showcasing that they use this product, that they've given this feedback. In fact, some people have to do this as part of KPIs, as maybe to get a promotion or to get a raise, or when they're going for a new job. It actually is part of their dossier. And then the third piece, it's nominal fees. So at reInvent, you know, we're doing a big one because it's a big splash at reInvent for $50. But normally it's anywhere between a $10 to $25, and it's given at the end. So it's a thank you. So it's not usually leading with that. Good question.
And we also had one more question. What are the pricing models for PeerSpot?
Oh, isn't that the secret sauce? Yeah. So in fact, if you will see shortly in the marketplace, so you'll see the pricing will be listed out there. But reviews and content starts out at $50,000 for an annual subscription. There are discounts based on length or based on if we have a special relationship with Sugar. There's obviously then a discount associated to that. But yeah, you'll be seeing that listed in the marketplace very shortly.
Excellent. I actually have one that was brought up, you know, and I think it came from an existing customer. How could Sugar help us get PeerSpot implemented? So I think, you know, just talk to your customer success manager at Sugar, let them know that you're interested in a PeerSpot relationship. We'll get you in touch with the PeerSpot team. But we can also, you know, help with the implementation, you know, with the PeerSpot team and make sure that it's all integrated together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. Any other questions out there? How about time? Do we have any others, Trent?
Not that I see from the attendees. I have another one that was queued up from somebody. Just kind of like in general, the differences of what if you already work with G2 since they're already on the marketplace as well, and kind of how that works.
Yeah, that's come up. So G2 also provides reviews for the AWS Marketplace. And I think they've been providing reviews for the last 3-4 years or so. Big difference. Those are external reviews, non-AWS customers. So they help I guess they help your review numbers really go up. But as Gershon was showing, they'll be listed as external reviews. So those reviews are not being used in the star rating. They're not being used in the buyer guides. They're not being used in any of the AI tools that are being built and coming out. Potentially even not being used in the partner matching engine that the AWS reviews are being used for. So that's a big difference. They're there as we're going to give you a third party, and it actually shows, the marketplace actually walks through and shows the difference, I think, in their documentation between the AWS first party reviews and then the external reviews. So I would say it's additive, right? There's not a one or the other. It just depends on what your strategy is. If you want competencies, those external reviews will not cover competencies. So that's one reason. Then think about AWS reviews.
I think the biggest one that I noticed, honestly, was that you know, they used to be uploaded on a quarterly basis with G2. I understand they may have got that down to every month now, but you know, you'll all of a sudden you'll see it go from 54 to 68. It's because they hold them and they only do them once every so often, and you guys
Okay.
instantly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, then it's good to know. Somebody may ask the question. I'll say, how often are we porting reviews? So we have a two-way back and forth, and they're happening. I won't say automatically. They just happen all the time. So as a buyer clicks to leave a review, it gets posted out to PeerSpot and AWS Marketplace once we do the verification. So we've been told within 24 hours. So they're happening in real time, if you will.
Yeah, that's one of the differences I saw too. Yeah. Perfect. Well, if that's all the questions, this was outstanding. Love spending time with you guys. I think that this is, vitally important to people's success. I don't, it does cost money, but it is worth its weight in gold to get these reviews. I can't tell you how many times I've had customers go, "Hey, I need a reference." I'm like, it, I just can't give out the same references over and over. We've got to respect my customers. I love just being able to say, "Hey, go to PeerSpot, go to the AWS website, look at the reviews. If you have questions, then you can reach out to them directly." It just makes it a little bit less, also canned on a reference. Uh, so I hope you guys all enjoyed the content, and reach out to the Sugar team or PeerSpot team. They can give you a full demo, everything. Kelly, there's one of the salespeople there, is outstanding. Her demo blew me away the other day. So just feel free to reach out to any of us.
Thank you, everyone. We
Thank you,
really
guys.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Bye.